In this chapter, we're going to discuss managing buffets, banquets, and catered events. Our learning objectives for this chapter include review procedures for effectively managing buffets, explain how to manage a banquet, describe basic procedures for managing catered events, and explain basic activities for overseeing special functions. This will be just an overview of the general topic, as there are actually whole classes which you guys take that cover these particular subject matters. A buffet is a style of food service in which customers select the menu items and portion sizes they prefer as they pass along one or more serving counters. Buffets are commonly offered in schools, hospitals, university residence halls, and businesses and industry cafes and cafeterias. In addition, some restaurants and many hotels offer buffets during some of the dining periods or all of the dining periods. Some buffets use food production staff to carve roast beef or ham or to make omelets to order. Buffets are more common and are found in more types of operations than one might at first expect. Using the preceding definition, salad bars and dessert bars are buffets that allow customers to help themselves to one course of the meal. Like all other aspects of an operation, the decision to offer a buffet requires careful thought. A significant amount of space is required in the dining area, and buffet serving equipment is expensive. Managers must consider the number of revenue-producing customers who might otherwise be seated in the space to be used for buffet service. The location of the buffet relative to the kitchen is also important. Will it be easy for employees refilling the buffet item to move to the kitchen through the customer area to the buffet location? Is the space available where customers won't disrupt others when they wait in line at the buffet? Buffet menu planners have the same basic concerns as those planning menus for traditional table service. They must consider what customers want, and they will be confronted by production limitations, including space, equipment, and employee skills. Additionally, tools and equipment for cooking food in batches are necessary, along with space to store these items. Recipes that yield a relatively large number of portions must be identified, tested, and adjusted to meet the needs of the operation. These concerns are compounded if the operation offers an a la carte menu to customers who do not choose the buffet. Other challenges driven by the menu arise if customers are served in an a la carte dining room at the same time a buffet in a banquet room is offered. One of the biggest concerns that managers have is costing buffets. How can a manager price buffets when they don't know what food items and in what quantities customers will select? One common method involves determining the average food cost for the customer from previous buffets and using this food cost as a basis to evaluate the current selling price. Then several questions can be answered. Is the current price reasonable given our food cost? Should the price be increased? Should we carefully review the items being offered and replace some items or revise the recipes used to produce them to lower the food cost and keep the price in the same vein? Oftentimes we use a worksheet to help us with this. For instance, chicken lasagna is one of the offered items on the buffet. It's prepared with the standardized recipe, and the pan with 24 portions is issued to the buffet at the beginning of service. During the meal period, 60 additional portions are brought to the buffet line. Therefore, 84 portions are available during the meal period. When the buffet ends, 8 portions of the items remain. Therefore, 76 portions were served. Since each portion cost 94 cents, the total food cost for all portions of chicken lasagna served on the buffet during the meal period was $71.44. That's 76 portions times 94 cents. The calculations just described are repeated for each item on the buffet during the meal period. The total item cost for the portions of all items served on the buffet is calculated, and this is divided by the number of buffet customers to calculate the per serving cost. The total food cost is given as $986.75 divided by the total number of customers of 122 customers. This gives us a per serving food cost of the buffet at $8.09. The per customer food costing sheet of buffets can be completed for several days, and then the average per customer food cost can be calculated. This cost is used to evaluate the buffet selling price using one of the pricing methods described in Chapter 1. If a salad bar is offered along with entree choices and on an a la carte menu, the total per customer food cost just calculated could be added to the food cost of all other choices, such as vegetables and salad dressings, and provided with the entree. This total food cost would be used to calculate the entree's selling cost using one of the methods in Chapter 1. The process of determining per portion self-service food cost items does not need to be ongoing. The worksheet could be used for several meal periods and the results averaged. As product costs change over time and as the items offered are changed, the process should be repeated. Managers offering self-service food items have a challenge: how to control food cost when customers decide the portion size. To address this question, managers should remember why customers like buffets. First, it offers flexibility. They can select what and how much to eat. It offers value. They like to receive a bargain. Unlimited food, the all-you-can-eat concept, is a strong attraction for some. And of course, speed and convenience. There is no waiting period for food production or service. Managers of buffet operations can control food costs. Efforts should begin at recognizing what food waste is at the heart of the problem. Food waste reduces profit because it increases food costs. There's numerous strategies that can be employed to reduce food waste in a buffet operation, such as learning from the garbage can. We use this operation by determining what comes back from the buffet. Keep track of a variety of the volume of items produced and left over. This production lets us look at leftovers. We can ensure that the buffet menu is flexible. If market prices increase, substitute items can be offered. And using standardized recipes to provide the consistency needed to please customers and manage costs. And consider ways to use portion controls, things such as pre-portioned containers or maybe singular items. Replenish self-service stations with less food, but more frequently. Use the right serving utensils. A ladle that is too large for the sauce or stew makes it easier for customers to take too much and hard for them to take smaller desired portions. Use the correct serving size items. Plates and bowls that are larger than necessary encourage customers to take more food. And then finally, consider the portion size for self-service items compared to the counterparts in the a la carte operation. Portion sizes are typically smaller in buffet operations because there is a larger variety of customers that can select more food if they wish. Food safety is a big concern when it comes to buffets. Because the buffet is usually open to the public, customers choosing food from buffets can unknowingly put themselves and others in danger. For example, customers may eat from their plates or sample food while moving through the line. They may pick up items with their fingers or use them to taste food. They may want to return unwanted food items, use a soiled plate for a second helping, or put their heads under the sneeze guards to smell or to reach items in the back. There are several useful practices that can be employed to prevent contamination during the buffet service, such as monitoring self-service areas closely using employees trained in food safety, posting signs with polite tips about self-service etiquette, maintain proper food temperatures above 135 degrees or below 41 as needed. Keep raw meat, seafood, and poultry separate from ready-to-eat items. Ensure that sneeze guards are properly installed. Sneeze guards should be 14 inches above the food counter, and they should extend 7 inches beyond the food. Identify all food items. Label containers and place salad dressings names on ladle handles. Don't let customers refill soiled plates or use soiled utensils. Customers can use the same glassware for refills if beverage dispensing equipment is used, but this does not necessarily apply to plates. Never use ice that is used to keep food or beverages cold as an ingredient or in any other food. Banquets are events in which sponsors pay an establishment to provide specified food and beverage services to all event attendees. They're usually held on site, although off-site events are offered by some operations. Unlike many hotels, restaurants and food service operations don't typically separate banquet facilities. Instead, they may set aside an area of the dining room or perhaps have a separate small room normally used for groups who order from the menu. Not only can banquets be good business, they can make good business sense. Owners spend a good deal of money to purchase or lease land, building, customer furnishings, storage, production, and service equipment and other items required to operate their business. Some managers try to maximize the use of these resources to generate additional revenue without additional capital. Banquets offer the opportunity to do this. Unfortunately, banquets can also create financial problems if they're not well planned. Banquets are often more profitable than a la carte dining. First, it's easier to schedule labor so that employees are used efficiently. In a normal establishment routine, some shifts may be less busy. Managers may worry about unexpected customers and schedule more labor hours than needed. By contrast, the number of banquet customers and their arrival, dining, and leaving times are known. Employees can be cost effectively scheduled. Banquet menus are well planned in advance so that purchasing, production, and pricing tasks are also easier. Banquets often generate greater per customer revenue than a la carte dining. Banquets typically celebrate special occasions and higher priced items can be sold. Managers also have opportunities to sell items such as alcoholic beverages to customers who might not otherwise buy them. Profitable banquet operations begin with a careful analysis of the marketplace. Managers must learn if there is an unmet need for group dining services. Successful banquet managers have several things in common. They remember what their core business is. For most, it's an a la carte dining. They don't take on challenges and divert resources critical for its success. They know when to say no. They carefully consider the pros and cons of a banquet operation to be offered in addition to the a la carte dining. They understand that banquet operations involve numerous details. They commit the time required for planning, training, considering equipment purchases, and many other activities needed to offer banquets. They understand that communication and teamwork are critical. Production staff must be involved in decisions about banquet menus to ensure that promises can be delivered. They know service or production errors, such as having too few servers or running out of food, can affect the operation's reputation. Such a mistake will be seen by many customers, not just one or two diners. They understand that strong banquet business can have a positive impact on their success. Satisfied attendees may become regular customers. Banquets are different. Do managers have to train their employees when they begin to offer banquets? After all, cooks know how to cook, servers know how to serve, and food preparation and service procedures are basically the same. In fact, there are many differences and training is needed. First, consider food production. How will items typically prepared in small batches be prepared in larger quantities? If the banquet is not a buffet, where and how will food be plated? How will hot food be kept at the proper temperature until served, which will improve transport to the banquet dining area? Where will the transport equipment, covers for hot plates, and other items be stored? Beverage employees also require special training. How will banquet bars be stocked? How will cash, tokens, coupons, or other beverage payments be collected? How will guest IDs be checked in a crowd full of customers? What is the necessary mise en place for banquet service? Will a food service style other than that used at a la carte dining be available? How will food be picked up from the plating area? How will it be transported to the dining area? How will soiled dishes and other tableware be removed, and where will it be taken? Management staff will also need training. How will banquet sales be generated? What negotiation strategies should be used when interacting with banquet clients? How will information flow between managers and food production and dining staff so no details are forgotten? What factors should be considered to determine if a specific date, banquet menu, or other aspects of a special event are possible? There are many factors that should be considered when planning a la carte dining menus that are applied to planning banquet menus. There are, however, some special concerns. Menu planners must be certain that the items offered can be produced in approximate quantity at the desired level of quality within required time schedules. For example, it is typically easier for a broiler cook to prepare steaks as a customer order than from an a la carte menu than it is to prepare many steaks to be ready for plating for a banquet all at the same time. How are the first steaks completed held at the proper temperature while others are being prepared? What about a customer that wants a steak very well done when most prefer them to be broiled to medium doneness? Pre-planned banquet menus are often offered to sponsors as suggestions. These can be helpful because they consider production limitations and desired contribution margins. Perhaps an operation has a signature entree and several other items are also popular. If production equipment capacity is sufficient, these items might be a logical addition to a banquet menu. By contrast, other items may be time-consuming or difficult to make in large quantities. The manager, chef, and others on the menu planning team should identify items thought to be popular, practical, and profitable. There are two important documents that are needed to ensure that there are no surprises as a banquet is planned. A banquet event order, or BEO, is used by sales, production, and service staff to detail all banquet requirements. Information provided by the sponsor is summarized on the BEO and becomes the basis for the formal banquet agreement, a contract between the operation and the event sponsors, which specifies the responsibilities of both parties. A BEO includes well-planned details, such as identifying as much of the information the operations employees need to ensure that the event meets or exceeds the sponsor's expectations, such as date and type of beverage service, beverage available, beverage charges, hours of beverage operations, menu, and that includes all the items with timings, special instructions, room setup details and diagrams, table details, music, audiovisual, coat check, and parking. Each establishment will have its own form for a BEO, but the information contained on a form should match the sample shown. When they review the BEO, employees know if the event will have a hosted bar, in which alcoholic beverages are paid for by the event sponsor, or if a cash bar in which the alcoholic beverages are purchased by the event attendees. Costs for the labor needed to produce and serve banquet customers are normally included in the event selling price. However, especially when the number of customers is small, charges for several types of labor may be assessed separately, such as setup staff, bartenders, beverage servers, beverage cashiers, security staff, valet, and coat room employees, and cleanup staff. A banquet agreement is a formal contract between the operation and the sponsor. This is a legal contract, so it must carefully identify responsibilities of both parties. This can require a document several pages long. Banquet agreements can be drawn up many months or even years in advance of the event. Therefore, it's not always possible to specify menu and other prices because of possible cost changes. A guarantee is an agreement about the number of meals to be provided by a banquet. Typically, it must be made a specified number of days in advance. At that time, the sponsor agrees to pay for either the actual number of customers served or the number of customers guaranteed, whichever is greater. Managers make a commitment to hold space for events under the contract. They must protect themselves if, for example, an event is canceled. The space could have been used for another event. This concern is usually addressed in the cancellation clause that indicates any financial penalties for cancellation at certain times before the banquet event. As with other legal documents, managers should seek the services of a qualified attorney to draw up and review banquet agreements before use. Oftentimes, these agreements are pre-drawn up with fill-in-the-blank sections for the details. Catering involves the production and service of food and beverages at the location other than the establishment responsible for the event. Since it's difficult or impossible to return to the kitchen for products, supplies, or equipment, careful planning is very important to ensure equipment will be available for this off-site event. Like banquet operations, off-site catering can generate significant revenues for operations that do it well. Also, like banquet operations, the sponsor selects a menu, invites the customers, and establishes the time and type of a service. Unlike the typical banquet, however, the host can also select the event's location. This is an advantage to the host and the potential disadvantage to the manager. It creates significant challenge and requires detailed planning to ensure that the event's success. There are two primary catering markets: business groups. The opening of a new business, a retirement, an appreciation or other recognition event, Special occasions such as summer picnics and holiday parties that can be held at the sponsoring organization's location. Breakfast and lunch meetings at the client's location are also catering opportunities. Individual social events such as birthdays, graduations, weddings, and anniversaries and reunions are examples of special times that can be celebrated in locations other than the banquet room. In many areas, there is significant competition for these events, and catering reputation does much to sell the potential client. Political, religious, and charitable groups sponsoring fundraising events also commonly use offsite catering. The location of an offsite event can present a significant challenge. Many sites provide opportunities for creative caterers to use their professional talents. At the same time, meal service can be made more difficult because of the restrictions imposed by the customer. Some off-site locations, such as schools and churches, have adequate water, gas, and electric utilities along with storage, preparation, and service facilities. Other locations, such as parks or beaches, may have no facilities at all. It's critical that the caterer visit the proposed site if he or she has not had prior experience with it. It's a good idea to use a checklist for factors of off-site catering inspection. You may want to take a look at it and adjust it accordingly by looking at, does it have access? Is it available storage and production equipment, available utilities, and such and such and such. The caterer should determine the responsibility for usage fees for the site. Off-site locations may be arranged by the sponsor, but this is an important point to confirm. If equipment or other items not owned by the operation are to be delivered on the site, arrangements for deliveries must be made. The caterer must know when the equipment will be delivered, where it will be stored, and how it will be secured. If the location has usable preparation equipment in space, raw food deliveries may be arranged directly to the site to reduce the number of items transported from the operation. However, arrangements must be made for their delivery, receipt, and secure storage. Managers must often be very creative in locations with inadequate food preparation facilities. A most important concern is to plan a menu that recognizes almost everything must be produced back at the caterer's location. Experienced managers with access to water, tabletops, and electrical outlets for microwave ovens at an offsite location can do much to supplement food preparation done in their kitchen. Special concern is also given to proposed dining space. If there is a scenic view or other attraction that will affect table placement, this should be noted. Tables and chairs, if available for use, should be checked to ensure that they're safe and will meet customers' needs. Arrangements for and restrictions about the consumption of alcoholic beverages must be determined. Laws in some areas may prohibit locations with on-site liquor licenses to allow liquor to be brought in. In other instances, the customer may purchase the liquor and the operation provides bartenders, beverage servers, and serving supplies, including glassware. A careful inspection of the proposed location is absolutely critical for the success of the event, and no shortcuts should be taken. Even if the location has been recently used, an inspection may be needed to ensure that previous experience applies to the event being planned. When you're planning and managing catered events, there's a series of steps that should be used to plan and carry out an effective off-site event. This section takes a close look at each of them. Before the event, Step 1, conduct the first meeting with the potential sponsor. At this time, managers can learn about the event, including the manager can learn about the event, including its purpose and location, estimated number of attendees, menu items, and alcoholic beverage concerns. If there is general agreement about factors important to the sponsor and the caterer, a reservation for the date is made. A deposit can be made and held at this time as well. Step 2, make the first site visit. If the manager is not familiar with the proposed location, a visit is needed. A drawn-to-scale sketch of the dining area may be helpful to plan placements of serving linens and portable bars and dining tables. During this trip, the manager may be able to estimate the transport time between the preparation kitchen and the event's location. Step 3, make menu planning and costing decisions. This step is to draft a menu and can be produced with the equipment available at the operation and the event's location. Menu planners for an off-site catered event have similar limitations to those planning a hotel room service menu. The quality of food is lowered as time goes by. This places a significant constraint on items that can be served if they must be produced on site and delivered. This challenge may be lessened if an off-site facility has some food preparation and holding equipment. After a tentative menu is planned, production cost decisions can be made that in turn impact the price quotation. The time needed for food preparation and transportation can also be estimated, as can service costs. Step 4. Meet with the potential sponsor. At this time, costs can be negotiated and changes in the plans, if any, can be made. All contract issues should be discussed, and the event agreement should be signed by both parties. The sponsor will typically now be required to make a deposit for food and beverage purchases, especially if there are special products that must be purchased in advance. Step 5. Plan all the details. Catered events are typically simple but complicated. They are simple because the same basic planning must be undertaken regardless of the event size. They are complicated because of the many details that must be considered at every step in the planning and delivery purpose. They are complicated because of the many details that must be considered at every step in the planning and delivery process. Step 6. Obtain the customer guarantee. At the time specified by the event agreement, the sponsor should finalize the number of customers. A guarantee deposit is normally paid at this time. Show me the money! The guarantee helps in exactly the same way that it does with banquet planning. It provides the information that drives food production and staffing plans. With the guarantee in place, the manager is assured to receive payment based on the higher of the guaranteed number or actual number of customers served. In many cases, caterers plan to serve a few more customers than the guarantee. The day of the event. Very large catered events may require on-site work several days or longer before the event. Perhaps landscaping must be provided or tents must be put up. Often the sponsor employs vendors to do this, and the establishment's manager's responsibilities are limited to food and beverage related activities. On the event, some work must be done at the establishment. This includes food pre-preparation and preparation along with kitchen cleanup. Also, the food, beverages, equipment, utensils, supplies, and numerous other items needed must be counted and loaded on the transport vehicles. This is where attention to details is a must. At the off-site location, food items may need to be pre-prepared, if applicable, and held at the proper temperature until serving. The dining area must be set up, food and beverage products must be served, and the location must be cleaned at the end of the event. Typically, any remaining sponsored payments are expected at the end of the event, and all items that belong to the operation must be transported back to the property. Sometimes even the garbage from the event must be removed from the off-site location. Back at the establishment, items used off-site must be counted, cleaned, and replaced into inventory. Accounting activities such as preparing the sponsor's payment for bank deposit and maintaining payroll records are also important. Staff in the catered event. Most roles are the same as those done in other types of food and beverage service. The chef, working with assistants, prepares the food, and the utility person washes the pots and pans. Cooks portion food items into transport containers. With the help from utility person, they also load transport equipment into the vehicle. At the off-site location, the catering site manager must ensure that all contractual terms are completed and the event is successful. He or she also supervises the production and service employees. Food servers and beverage staff typically do the setup and cleanup work for small events. A lineup meeting should be conducted after all staff are assembled at the off-site location. They should be briefed about the event, the menu, serving techniques, and work assignments. Managers should also be empowered to make on-the-spot decisions to make the event as enjoyable as possible for the customer. Managers who oversee buffets, banquets, and catered events as a routine part of their responsibilities have likely resolved many potential challenges. Just as in an a la carte operation, routines become established as management and decision-making concerns are addressed. By contrast, managers who offer these services as an infrequent basis may be confronted with challenges based on their experience because it is limited. They must attempt to effectively plan for problems that are likely to arise and determine whether buffets, banquets, or catered events should be offered. The success of many special functions can be traced back to the operations contract with the sponsor. Managers must be able to resolve unanticipated problems that arise during the special events. Failure to follow plans, misunderstandings about responsibilities, and even planning errors can arise when special functions are not routine. This concludes the material in this chapter. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.